Hey guys, it's Mr. Smith here, and in this video we're going to look at price discrimination. So up until this point we've assumed that the monopolist cannot price discriminate. And in this video we're going to look at, well, what happens if a monopoly can? How does that impact what we would draw and what the monopoly can actually do? So to define price discrimination, it is the practice of selling the same product to different buyers at different prices. An example of this would be, if you go to a movie and you pay a student price for the movie, but if your parents are with you, they pay an adult price. That's price discrimination, right? It's the same product, a movie ticket, but you're paying a different price than your parents. That's the idea of price discrimination. And there are three conditions in order for a monopoly to successfully price discriminate. So the first one is the firm has to have market power, which of course monopolies do. They have to set their own price, right? So perfectly competitive firms could not price discriminate because they don't have market power, right? They actually take their price from the market. They're told what their price should be based upon what all the firms in the market kind of agree upon based on market conditions. The second one is the firm must be able to segregate the market. In other words, you've got to be able to group consumers together, right? So I have to know, if I'm a movie theater, who's going to be the students, who's going to be the adults, right? And of course you can do things like check student IDs, if you're doing a senior discount, check a driver's license, whatever the case may be, in order to know who to charge what price to. And finally, consumers cannot resell the product. In other words, you can't get like an adult using a child's ticket, or if you're an airline, a non-business client trying to use business flights, whatever the case may be. So those are the conditions for price discrimination. And so if a firm meets those, then they're able to price discriminate. So to get an idea of how that would impact a monopoly, I want to use a table here. So I've got prices ranging from $11 to $5 and quantities from 0 to 6. And so we want to fill in total revenue and marginal revenue. So first of all, and this is a little different than what we're used to, if nothing gets sold, then total revenue is 0 and marginal revenue is nothing. So nothing different there. So we have one consumer willing to pay $10, so total revenue would be 10 times 1, $10, and marginal revenue would be $10 because we went from no total revenue to $10 of total revenue. Now it gets tricky when you get to $9 because a lot of students are tempted to say, okay, 2 units are being sold, $9 per unit, $18 of total revenue. That's actually not what's happening here. Because what we're saying here is that we have one consumer, we'll call him Bob. Bob's willing to pay $10, and Sue is only willing to pay $9. Now, in a non-price discriminating monopoly, the monopolist would have had to charge both Bob and Sue $9 because that's the lowest price both of them are willing to pay, and you'd rather have $18 bringing in Sue and lowering the price on Bob than just charging for Bob and only getting $10 of revenue. But the beauty of a price discriminating monopoly is we can charge Bob $10 and Sue $9. And so total revenue here is actually $19 and marginal revenue is $9. And so if we continue this, okay, we bring in a third consumer, we'll call him John, and John's willing to pay $8, and so then we charge each of them what they're willing to pay. 10 plus 9 plus 8 is $27, and then marginal revenue is $8, and then of course we could just keep going down, 34, 40, and 45, and then this is 7, 6, 5. And so I want you to notice the relationship between price and marginal revenue. They're now the same. Remember, price is also the demand curve. In a non-price discriminating monopoly, demand was greater than marginal revenue. But here they're actually the same value, and that's going to impact how we draw the graph. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, the setup's the same in terms of quantity, $sign, but now instead of drawing two curves, we're only going to draw one curve. Okay? So this curve is going to be marginal revenue, but it's also demand, it's also average revenue, it's also the price. So now it's Mr. Darp again, right? So for a price discriminating monopolist, marginal revenue and demand are the same curve. That's the biggest distinction between how we would draw a monopoly that can price discriminate and one that cannot. So then we'll bring in marginal cost, same thing here, just like before. And then I'm actually going to make marginal revenue touch the y-axis there. And then we're going to bring in profit maximizing quantity, which would be right here, capital Q, capital M. Now, one game I like to play with my students is that I ask them, okay, where's the monopolist price? And what they want to tell me is, oh, Mr. Schmidt, it's so easy. We just do this. There it is. There's the monopolist price. This is both right and very, very wrong. It's right in the sense that there is a consumer that's going to pay that price. But remember, the monopolists can price discriminate. So they're also going to be charging this price and this price and every price in between. Like, they're going to charge this range of prices, right? From the y-axis all the way to MR equals MC. And so there isn't just one price for the monopolist. You can't actually label it because there's really an infinite number of prices there. So I'm going to go ahead and clear all that out. Okay, just like that. So we have the profit maximizing quantity. We can, however, show total revenue, total cost, and profit. So how do we do that? Well, first of all, we're going to assume that if a monopoly can price discriminate, they're probably making a profit, right? So we'll bring in ATC and we'll put it below the lowest price the monopolist would charge. And so we're going to bring it up, ATC, and like that, close enough. And then let's go ahead and label profit, total revenue, and total cost. So that's pretty simple to do. We'll go ahead and say, okay, there's our ATC. Bring that over. So this is the ATC for the monopolist. And then let's do total revenue, total cost, and profit. So total revenue, I'm going to do that in green. It's your quantity times the largest price that you would charge for right there, and then all the way down, and then all the way over. So it's this weird looking, would that be a trapezoid kind of shape, right? And then total cost in red here is going to be your quantity times your ATC. So it's a traditional box. And then profit is where there is total revenue but not total cost. So I'll do that in gray, and it's going to be all this. It's also a trapezoid. So a little bit different than what we're used to with a non-price discriminating monopoly. And there's a few things that we can say are kind of the results of a price discriminating monopoly, and here they are. The first one is the monopolist charges several prices now, not just one price. It's going to find every consumer's willingness to pay and charge them that price. Secondly, compared to a traditional monopoly, there's much more profit to be made because you can now target each consumer and get more from each one, right? Because, and back to our example with Bob, Sue, and John, if I had those three consumers, I would be only making $24 in profit here because I have to charge them all $8 because I want to make sure I get John in there. But if you look up here, I'm actually going to make 27 off them when I can price discriminate. So I can actually make more total revenue by selling to them their willingness to pay as opposed to the lowest price they're all willing to pay. Then we've got no consumer surplus. Why is that? Because remember, consumer surplus is the difference between what a consumer is willing to pay and what they actually pay. Well, if every consumer is willing to pay what they actually pay, then consumer surplus is $0. And one really interesting thing with a price discriminating monopoly is there's no deadweight loss. Why is that? Well, because look at the quantity the price discriminating monopoly is producing. It's the allocatively efficient quantity because they're producing where marginal cost and demand are the same. They intersect. And so they're allocatively efficient and therefore no dead weight loss. So this monopoly is actually a bit more efficient than the traditional non-price discriminating monopoly. Now, it's still not productively efficient because they're not producing at minimum ATC, which would be here. They're still producing more output than what is productively efficient, but they are going to be allocatively efficient. So those are the 4 results there of price discrimination. So that's all for this video on a price discriminating monopoly. Until next time, have a great day.